What's going on, you nerds? Cobbsy here, and welcome to the True Nerds Gaming Podcast, episode number 32. Dan, give it.
32.
As always, I got my main man, Dan, here, and turning into a usual VIP, we got Mr. Austin. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Before we start talking about some other stuff, I'm going to say I'm doing great because my wife is the best person in the entire world, and I love her so much. For Father's Day today, we're just sitting out there talking on the porch, just having our morning coffee, and she brought up the idea of moving my gaming setup into another room in the house to give me more quiet space, essentially, so I can be as loud as I want and not worry about the kids or her getting woken up. So I ended up moving all my shit across the room or the house today. Took over 4 hours. I grossly underestimated how long it was going to take, but I'm super excited. She even like sound tested. She went up and she called me on her phone. She's like, all right, I'm in the bathroom, yell, talk, whatever. And, I mute myself on the phone, yell, and get back on the phone. Nope, can't hear you. Move to the kids' bedroom, my bedroom, and man, so I can be as loud as I want, and this is the first time in 7 years, so I am beyond stoked.
Let's
Hell
go.
yeah. That's amazing.
And like I said, she did something nice for me, so I told her I'd give her a full body massage, which I did. So that's why I'm running a little late tonight. But you guys have no idea how free I feel to be able to just speak right now. Normally I'm kind of trying to hush, but anyways, doing phenomenal. So I'll pass over to one of you guys. What's going on? What have you been playing, watching, reading, anything like that?
Austin, go ahead.
All right. I've been playing actually Fallout New Vegas. I've never played Fallout New Vegas before, and it crashes every 30 minutes. And I'm okay with that. I'm constantly hitting F5 to quick save, but I for some reason it has captured me, and I want to continue playing it. And I think it's because I'm super hyped for Starfield. So I'm like, let's go down the list of Bethesda games I haven't played yet, and we're gonna knock them out. New Vegas is one, so that's the one that all my friends recommended to me. So that's what I'm playing. What about you?
Obsidian too. So
yeah,
that's where
so not even
really Bethesda. I mean,
just Bethesda's IP and
Right.
the world that they created, but then
Well, you can tell a lot when you play New Vegas. The story licks that you'll get, the character building is Obsidian through and through.
It's amazing so far, and I think that's what got its hooks in me, and that's what kind of makes me really excited for Avowed.
100%. Yeah, it's very.
Yeah, if you're building up for Starfield, I think you should have played the worst. The worst. What studio is it? Just brain fart. Bethesda. You should have played the worst Bethesda game, and then it would have blown you away. But now you've played the hidden gem that's not Bethesda. That's better. In most people's cases, they think it's the best Fallout, and they want Obsidian to keep making Bethesda game studio using their IP to do stuff, and so you might have set yourself up for failure.
Right.
I could have. Yeah, just the best story that they've ever released in the series. I go play Starfield, I'm just incredibly let down, even with all the things you could do.
Yeah, dude. I love Obsidian. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really had a bad Bethesda game either. I've never played Fallout 76 though, so I'll
I thought about it after I said that last week, and I was like, that was the dumbest thing I possibly could have said on a podcast, especially being viewed by others.
Yeah, we should clip the shit out of that.
We should probably not put that in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it's fun though. It's could be construed as an egregious money grab, but I mean, for people who like it and either don't pay money or pay a lot of money, they seem to have a ton of fun, and I think it's in hopefully a better spot. I don't know. I think it's in a much better spot, but
yeah, I think I know a couple of my buddies' coworkers actually play it, and they're also die-hard Fallout fans to the point where they would have played it no matter what.
Yeah,
and they're still playing it just because it's another Fallout universe that they're living in. So
for sure.
I don't know if I said it before last week, but Todd Howard pretty much Howard, excuse me, when he like initially got the idea. This was just what I was reading online and stuff like that. When he saw like Fallout 76 come across the table, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna handle those guys' work on it. I don't want to be a part of it." But they kept on like coming to him and being like, "Hey, so how is Fallout 76 coming along?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm just working on Starfield." The managers have it, on the other hand. So I feel like maybe that like since he's hands off of a shitty game and he goes to hopefully great game of Starfield, like it might actually, yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, we might actually have something.
I think.
Did you guys see the like extended interview with Todd Howard?
No.
And him talking about how game development for his games have been taking like longer and longer and longer, like 8 years at like a pop. Basically, now is like what he's like projecting, and he's like, I guess this next Skyrim game, but Elder Scrolls game that we were working on that like in the future will probably be my last that I get to work on before I die.
Dude, for real.
Like that and like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, they were talking about Grand Theft Auto 2 and just like how long the development for it all has been like taking and takes, and so he's like, well, I got Starfield. There were I can't remember what he said was next, but and like what order they were talking about, but obviously they've already announced the next Elder Scrolls installment, and I think like where Fallout could be, and so he's like, I don't know how many more of these games I'm gonna get to work on. That's those 3. You're talking 24 more years.
Yeah, we got to release it 10 more times too.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. I'm okay with it though. I mean, we have this discussion all the time. I'd rather cook for longer than come out in a shit state. Especially Elder Scrolls, that's my baby. If they want to take 10, 12 years on it, I'm okay with it. It just does get annoying where they like tease or be like, "Hey, it's in development." It's like, or you could just shut the fuck up. Yeah, like that's what I prefer. But I know they need to keep the investors happy and they need to do this and that. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for. I think I can't remember what the development cycle is, but wouldn't Fallout 5 come out before Elder Scrolls? No.
He was talking and they asked him something and he goes, well, I didn't say that was coming out next. I just said we were working on it. And so
yeah,
I can't remember what he said I'm pretty sure that Elder Scrolls was coming out before the next Fallout game, because Fallout 4 was after Skyrim.
Correct. Right. Yeah. I was in my apartment.
Did they basically make one game a console generation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You either get a Skyrim or a Fallout, and now a Starfield. And so, dang, this will be this game's for this generation. And
yeah,
wow, that's crazy to think. I just realized that.
Yeah,
I just bought like the Game of the Year edition for Fallout 4 for like $10 at the last, like the winter sale or something like that. Pretty excited to play the DLC, but like I think like New Vegas and all the DLC was like $5, and I was like, okay,
might as well. So,
yeah, but you know what's also interesting? Oh, I'm sorry. What are you gonna say, Cubs?
Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say like Avowed. Like they announced it. I feel like when they announce it, it might like be a curse of like spewing all these insane like ideas and stuff like that, because like I was reading a bunch of Reddit threads and people were like very disappointed with like the gameplay trailer for Avowed, because they had like these ideas built up in their head about like a less than a minute like teaser that literally had nothing into it, right? So like they saw that, they're like, oh, it's going to be like Knights of the Old Republic and like this next Mass Effect. Yeah, it's just like you just created that. Now you're hating a game because it didn't live up to your dream. Like we didn't even see anything. It just said like this title is coming out. So, but like,
yeah, I wish like, yeah, I don't think they definitely like shouldn't have like teased it in the way they did, but it was better than just showing like the Elder Scrolls like logo and name, I guess, for what they were working on to build some hype for it. But it definitely didn't. A lot of people have said that the like visual tone did not match what that original teaser like had put in their mind.
But the thing is, sorry, go ahead, man. I'm bad.
I just said I didn't know what to expect from like what the gameplay was going to be like, but that visual design was like, as soon as I saw them going through the like some of the gameplay, I was like, this is nothing like the world that I thought they were gonna like had created. And I think I'm on board with it. I think I'm getting more on board with it, but just like it was like stuck in my head that like the art design, the color palette, the world was going to be this way, and then they've shifted. And obviously that can happen, but that's like I feel like the dangers of doing like a big teaser that so early in development.
I think the thing with them though, if you've played a bunch of Obsidian games, as soon as it launched this most recent trailer, it screamed Obsidian all over the place.
Oh, for sure.
So
100%.
like,
I was just hoping they were going to be like trying something brand new. They were going to take some Microsoft money. They were going to hire some new people and like go wild. And it's like, well, they're going to do what they, you know, they're going to stay in their wheelhouse and do what they've kind of always done, and which totally fine with, but just their teaser screamed like we're doing something different. We're doing something crazy. And I was really excited to see some of their storytelling in a different fashion, but it's going to be very much the exact same fashion. But I mean, they're some of the best at it. So why stray from what you've done
with them for how good they are with their look and their delivery? I'm in the opposite wheelhouse. Don't change it, please, because I don't feel a need for it. I mean, all the way from Pillars of Eternity to Outer Worlds, completely different games, and I'm all about it. So I'm very excited for Avowed.
Yeah, I'm too. That's definitely like the game that the person I cannot name because they're under NDA working on it was like when they saw the teaser trailer and he saw like rumors online coming out like there's guns. He's like, how are people coming up with this? Like it's just like a less than a minute trailer. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like how do we know? I don't know if there's guns or anything. Like and the trailer just happens to come out. I know I said that last week, but it's
so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny because like looking at that, you would never like. How could you even come up with that unless there was like somebody leaking out information, right? And like it was just it's insane because now it's like all colorful instead of the dark and grimy. But yeah, I'm really happy with the Obsidian where they're going, and can't wait to see what else they create because every world that they create is just like amazing with the story. So
it's lived in. We got super sidetracked, which is okay, but moving on to Mr. Dan, what have you been playing?
I've been playing some more Tears of the Kingdom, really trying to had a little bit more free time this week, and so I've been trying to like push through that. I got through the second temple and I did not like it at all. I didn't like the puzzle of the temple. I didn't like the boss fight. I like just didn't enjoy any of it. The only I guess enjoyment I got out of it was I completely disregarded the way that the developers wanted me to engage with this temple, and I just like climbed up a wall to where the last thing was supposed to be, and so still having a lot of fun. I guess like it's fun that like you can just do anything the way that you like want to do. And like part of it was like I wasn't mentally, I think, ready for like a big challenge or a big puzzle. Like it was a long week, it was stressful. I just wanted to relax. And I kept putting it off because I was at this like temple stage and I didn't want to have to like try this hard like into it. And so I had a couple days with a couple hour chunks at a time to like kind of like push through it. So still having, now that I'm out, I'm still having a lot of fun with the game, but after the Wind Temple, I was really hoping that this one would be just as good, and it was not.
Yeah, I'll add on to that because I've beaten that temple. There were times in that temple where it was the puzzles weren't overly difficult. They were just, if you're not in the mood to do a puzzle, they were kind of just like, fuck this and climb up a wall, which I did. I did the same thing, which is funny. And then when I actually came back down from the fifth unlock or key, whatever you want to call it, I actually realized the puzzle answer, if you will. I still think it's cool that you can just beat the game how you want. I really respected that because I'm like, dude, screw this. And I just kept eating stamina food and climbed up the entire cliff face. So it was pretty cool. But no, I feel you on that. Are you still playing Pokemon?
Yeah, I'm kind of been going back and forth a little bit. I've actually found there's a website that you can do the PvP on, but it's just like way faster. You don't have to like do all these end game training techniques to get like competitive ready Pokemon. So it's you can like try out like different strategies like really quickly to see like what would work, and then you can like implement them in game if you want. It's called Pokemon Showdown, and it's just like a website. It just runs in a browser. You can play it on your phone or on a computer. And it's pretty popular in the competitive scene, but I've just like never had a ton of interest in it. But I usually don't spend too much time like building a competitive team on my own. I usually just like watch a video or a couple videos and figure out like what team I want to roll with, and then making like one competitive team based on that is a lot less intensive, but it still took like 2-3 hours to get a team before so if you were inspired to go play PvP and like you wanted to do it at like a decent level, you'd have to spend 2-3 hours of like prep time. But then once you've done that, then you can just like keep grinding through if you want. But yeah, there's this website that like you can just like breeze through it. You can swap out Pokemon, you can try different strategies like really fast without having to blow a bunch of resources and time to get a team together. And so that's been a lot of fun, but it's been able to free me up, scratch that itch so I can play like sit down and play like more Zelda. Yeah. Because it's like a lot faster pace. So you can get through 2 or 3 like games online on the website versus like one actually on your Switch, because everything's just slower. There's animations, everything takes a lot longer. So yeah, that's still fun. There was like just a small topic that I kind of wanted to bring up that the community's like starting to maybe like look into with this like new rule set that that interests me more, with like more variety. They're bringing, because they integrated the new Scarlet and Violet with Home, and so you can bring all the Pokemon that you've had like of all the other games like into this game. Well, they don't have all of them yet, but like hundreds more. And so it like opens up like which Pokemon are competitively viable and what you can mix and match with a lot more. But now people are kind of saying, like, questioning, like, is Pokemon pay to win? Because if you were to do this the appropriate Nintendo approved way, you'd have to buy every single one of those games, beat the games, catch all the Pokemon, and then like train them and then send them through to your like new game. And so you're talking like hundreds of hours worth of work and money per game just to like play competitive and be competitive with everybody else that's like using all these Pokemon. And so it was like kind of interesting like thought process. Like it's not your normal pay to win in a sense, but like it kind of is getting that way to where like how can you expect people to shell out like tons of money? And then like some of them it's even worse. There's one that's like really popular right now, and he's only in one of the expansions of Sword and Shield. Ooh. And so if you were to wanted to do this, you would not only have to buy Sword and Shield, but then this like $20 or $30 expansion just to get this Pokemon. That's the only place like you can get it. And so yeah, it's like they're kind of paywalling these really powerful competitive Pokemon.
I almost wonder if they're gonna have to like categorize it for people to like be whoever owns like these games, they put them in a different category. Like if you don't have that game, you're in a different category. If you do have this, you know what I mean? So that way it's even, like the people that are playing Pokemon and can compete have the same accessibility to competing with those Pokemon. You know, regardless, yeah, it takes hundreds of hours to train those Pokemon. Like that's insane. Like that, but yeah, I could see where that could be a disadvantage, especially for like a kid who just gets home from school at like 3 p.m. and wants to go like play against people, and is like, my parents only got me for this like last Christmas, and this is the only Pokemon game I have. He's getting crushed by like a 30-year-old man.
Good, fuck him. Stomp him, Rowley. Stomp him into the ground. Get better, noob.
You don't have 30 years of playing Pokemon experience to like be able to transfer into these new games.
Dude, that's what Nintendo games are all about, man. Stomping little kids.
Not family at all.
Going into this, it is a unique outlook on the game concept itself. But when I look at that or I think about that, what I immediately related to is the card game or any card game, whether that's Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, whatever. It's how they make their revenue.
Yeah, by nature, all the card games are pay to win, right?
They are.
You have to buy the cards, and you have
gambling,
to. They're all they're loot boxes outside of video games, and yeah, so it's funny that it's like kind of like crept its way in, and you could always like kind of do this beforehand, but it was pretty limited. There was only like 2 or maybe 3 Pokemon games, like for the Game Boy Advance, you had like Fire Red, you had Fire Red and Leaf Green, you had Ruby and Sapphire, and then I think that was it. So you just had those 2. And so like, yeah, you could like conceivably just buy those 2 games and you'd be fine. The DS, there was a couple more, but yeah, not much. And so now with the Switch, there's a ton now. So you had Sword and Shield, you had oh, now I'm blanking. You had Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. You had the Legends Arceus, which is Game of the Year contender for me. And now you have Scarlet and Violet. And so there's a lot of, and then you also had like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee that you could transfer your stuff from too. So that's like five different generations of games. You'd have to have at least one game from each generation to be able to kind of compete. And maybe even then, you can't even get some of the like all the Pokemon that everybody's using. People are bringing them back from like Black and White and some of the other ones, and so you would had to have them on the Nintendo DS transferred through Pokemon Bank on the DS into home, and now into Scarlet and Violet.
That's Pokemon never ceases to amaze my amount of complexity in the game. You know what I mean? On the outside looking in, you're like, oh, it's just whatever.
RPG. Just catching monsters and clicking flamethrower.
Yep. Anything else though?
What are you playing?
Couch? I still grinding away at Zelda a lot. To the point where I was actually talking to Dan last night. Well, and I've been texting Austin here a lot. I'm still having fun with Zelda, but I'm at the point where I'm like pushing 60 hours. I'm over 50, pushing 60, and it's just a lot of exploration where I just need a little bit of a break. Part of me wanted to kind of just push through the story and get to the end, but I didn't want to do that because I love the game a lot. But the way Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom story is delivered, it's through drip feeds, right? It's certain spots. So I was in a lull for the last 5 hours or so of just doing shrines and doing caves and this and that. So I actually was thinking about what other game to play, and I've been having the competitive itch lately. So I was texting you, Austin, to see, because he was playing Hell Let Loose, which he told me not to play because
I know.
Yeah, Studio took over. That's just kind of pushing it into the ground. But they're, it's still a good game. It's just not where it used to be. If I'm understanding correct.
Correct. Yeah, it's just like, right, like it's a great game. Like there's still bugs because it's still kind of like technically in like early access, I guess. Or actually, no, they just came out with the full release. I lied. So like they came out with the full release, still a little buggy, and they're like cleaning it up, and this other company comes in, buys it, and they're just like, hey, we're not going to be historically accurate on the maps anymore, and we're going to make like the weapon spreads incredibly insane, so you're not going to be able to hit anything. And by the way, we're added swan diving, and it's like, whoa. And then yeah, there's like a huge revolt going on. Like if you go see, they're like review bombing on Steam. But yeah,
I saw recently. It said you know, mixed or low, but then overall it's very positive, or positive. So I looked at that. I played a game called I can't think what it's called now.
Oh, is it that one that's like popping off right now?
Yeah, it's essentially, it looks like Minecraft, but it's like Battlefield. I played
Is
that.
it 1v1 lol?
Huh?
1v1 lol?
No.
Never mind.
Bit something. Anyways,
BattleBit.
BattleBit. Thank you. I forgot how many player servers it is, but it's like 3 times the size of Battlefield. It's obnoxious.
256.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
I just read about it before this. So
okay, that helps me. I don't have my phone on me right now. It was fun, just kind of not for me. You know, I could tell I enjoyed what I played, but it just kind of got repetitive after a couple matches, so I was pushed that to the side. And then I did download Insurgency Sandstorm, which is another tactical shooter. It's okay. I played a couple matches. I had fun during the matches. Again, not really for me, just because unless I had friends playing with me, I don't think it'd be that enjoyable, because like one game was awesome where everyone's like shit talking each other and, you know, just having a good time. And then the other time no one talked at all and it was just people, you know, holding corners. And it's essentially, you know, what I played was just search and destroy. I'm sure there are other game types, but I think it was called Diffuse. But that was okay. Probably wouldn't mainline it, but I just wanted to try it out. But then I actually was talking to the boys last night, and I downloaded MW2 again.
Oh Lord, here we go.
And I may have stayed up till 2 in the morning playing Warzone with Casey and Dan. It was an accident. I feel bad about it, but I'm probably gonna play again after this podcast. I don't know what to, I don't know what to tell you. Shame, I know. But it's actually really refreshing because, again, I'm not over Zelda. I need a fucking break. So,
Yeah.
and it was really refreshing. I haven't talked to Casey in months, so I was able to talk to Casey. Dan got done playing League of Legends with Mark, jumped in. He's like, shit, he already had it downloaded. Jumped in, played a few games together, and yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, that's, you know, the game still has issues, but like it was fun because what was it?
Pay to win.
Yeah.
With like some of the weapons and stuff you could buy in the store that are insane amounts of money. Like
yeah, I don't know anything about
you know
that.
what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I don't actually. Like I've been away from the game for so long, and I haven't looked at any like news. So like what?
Yeah, we literally just hopped in. We're using the same weapons from when the game launched.
Yeah,
that's all we're rocking.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Awesome.
So is that like a thing now that they're releasing like blueprints, or I guess?
So like I know like there's like it's blueprints, right? So you buy a skin and it has like a certain like setup with the weapon, and those weapons will have better traits than the weapons that are like you could create with just like unlocking it, right?
That's 100%.
Not only that,
yeah. Oh yeah.
because like when the first season when we were playing, there was like a skin that you could buy that was like all black. So like you would blend into any background, especially when you're playing on PC and people are running at like higher resolution, so you weren't able to see them when they're in those dark, like little campy areas.
Yeah.
And so they changed that. They made everyone like violet or bright colors, I should say, like neon colors. That's what I was looking for. And so with this, they haven't really done anything with it. You know, like I could be wrong. They could be working on it because I'm not like too involved in the community, but I always saw that and read about it. I was like, that's going to piss a lot of people off.
Yeah.
And it's already a game that not a lot of people from the old community are very happy with. So,
right. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. I was looking for a game to, you know, spend some time on a couple times a week and kind of scratch the itch. You know what I mean? I thought about playing Fortnite a little bit, but you know,
no build mode, man.
It's fun.
So much fun. Yeah. Exactly before everything got really stupid.
Yeah, I can't. I've never played build mode, but when I heard about no build mode, I went and played it, which was hilarious because I had no or skill-based matchmaking hadn't hit me. So like I've never played Fortnite, but like I can aim a mouse and I can make intelligent decisions. And I think I won the first 3 or 4 out of 5 games. And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, skill-based matchmaking caught up to you, and I was just like, get shit on for the next. It was fun though. I was texting, I just kept sending pictures to Dan and Casey saying, you know, they're my first place wins. It was funny though. But I was watching some of these kids and I'm like, man, like legitly, is this how Fortnite is? It was awesome. Awesome, man. Like I was sitting there like
winning every game.
Yeah. I was like reloading.
all those really terrible like Call of Duty players that used to be able to like stomp on, they all went to play Fortnite. Now all that's left for Call of Duty is hardcore grinders.
Yeah. Man, I miss the Christmas noobs. I miss all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. I'm gonna keep chipping away at Zelda. I leave in a month here for AT. So I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks. I'm not trying to get like so does Dan. Trying not to get like too involved in another first person game. So I figure I'll finish Zelda right before I leave, and then I don't. Anytime I've left for a long training period, in the middle of a game, I've never finished it, just because you forget where you're at and you have to restart and this and that. But yeah,
that's 3 weeks for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Woof. Did not miss that.
Yeah. Well, next year's a month, so it'll be even better.
Yeah.
Yay. But yeah, that's what I got. So
not a month, 29 days, so they can't pay us BAH.
Well, I'll get BAH.
Doesn't matter to you,
but yeah, Dan, you mentioned you got some topics. So what else?
Yeah, so Kick.com is the new streaming service on the block.
Mm-hmm.
Going after Twitch streamers, going after anybody who wants to stream, really. They just signed XQC, which was like arguably either by the numbers or really close on a lot of metrics to being the number one Twitch streamer. They paid him $100 million allegedly. I heard 70 and I heard 100 million to go stream on Kick.
Still gonna be bare bones.
Yeah, so I guess
with nothing in the background.
So I guess the reason that is like he just like picks up and moves all the time.
Yeah, I know. Like he doesn't own any property, I think.
Yeah,
he just he lives out of a box pretty much.
Yep, and so like he was telling Linus Tech Tips, like went over and did like a PC either upgrade for him or fix for him, and he's like, why do you like do this? And so he's explaining that like either when people like figure out where he lives or kind of whatever else, he just like packs up and moves, and so he needs to be like extremely light, and he just like leaves all his other shit behind basically and buys all new shit at the new place, and he wants to be like up and running, like same day. So
that's wild.
But good, yeah, he's getting 100 million, and it's not exclusive, so they want him to keep streaming on Twitch and bring people over to Kick.com. They're that's
what blows my mind too, is just like that it's not exclusive. I wonder what Twitch is going to respond with that, because
it kind of sounds like they were getting out ahead of it with that thing that blew up last week where you couldn't simultaneously stream on like any platform. And like they were trying to like lock in people to like if you're going to stream on Twitch, this is the only place you can stream basically. So I guess I don't know if like what their rules were on like one day you stream on Twitch and then one day you go stream on a different platform, if that is still like legal in their books, but it kind of sounds like they were trying to like get out ahead of this counter in the field
in the worst way possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like anytime you take away something from a content creator, you're gonna piss them the fuck right off.
They're gonna revolt so hard.
And then those big streamers, they have their followers and be like, hey, moving to YouTube, hey, moving to Kick, whatever. Oh, and then I'm on YouTube and Kick now because they're not being dickheads about it.
Yep.
So
anything owned by Jeff Bezos just seems to like, man, he bought like iRobot now, like the vacuum. Like there was already a crappy vacuum, like, for my house, robot vacuum, but he just wants to map our house, so that's pretty much the only reason why he bought it.
Yep.
But like it got really bad because it started with them only paying out like half of subs, right? You get like $2
50-50 split,
yeah, 50-50 split, and then they took even more for like higher streamers as well. And it's like you're just forcing people to go over to other platforms or look for other like sources.
Really considering,
like
Now the one thing that they do have to their advantage that people don't talk about enough is the Prime subs.
Yeah.
Where they just like give people free money, and but I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because I think a lot of streamers, while it can be really nice and it's a big like revenue or a revenue source, that Amazon's just like handing over to them for free. I think it like prevents streamers from like it creates this grind, right? Because they have to sign in every month to get the new stream, and so you have to be streaming basically on the day that their month like stream comes up, or whenever they log in next, once their 30 days elapses, to subscribe to the next channel. And it could be your channel, it could be somebody else's channel, and so everyone's fighting over these Prime subs, these free like subs every single month, and you just like can't take any time off at all. And so Ninja commented on that as being like, I think one of the bigger reasons why he left, not like pointing out specifically that like the Prime subs are like bad or just like cause exhaustion, but he was like, dude, I left for a charity event for 3 days and he lost 70,000 subs or like something crazy, because all this was, I mean, this is when he had 500,000 subs. All the Prime subs were, on like a specific day, or these people came up like during that week, or there was like 3 or 4 days that he's gone. And then like too, when you travel, you want to take, you jet lagged, you want to take a day on the back end or something, and you just can't. You just constantly have to be streaming.
That's crazy. You know what I found? I think there might be a loophole to that, because one of the streamers that like streams on Tarkov, Kings, he is from Wisconsin. Like shout out to him, but he will have subathons. So like for his birthday or for like a special time of the month, he will stream for those 2 weeks only and have like something promoting it. And like whether if it's like a giveaway or something big that he gives back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody comes in like that follows him. They all throw subs, and he will stream for like 72 hours straight. Like he'll probably take like a 4-hour break, and he'll have like his other friends stream during that time, and it will work. And I guess like it works, like because he takes off like decent amount of time to go travel or he does stuff with his like wife and kids and stuff like that. But I thought that was like really interesting. I never thought about it until right now. So like he's probably beating it a little bit,
Yeah, I think like you can kind of like make up some of the stuff that like you would lose, or like like do a big thing like that and kind of bank up some money. And then I guess it just depends on like how ambitious you are. But Twitch and their directory seems to be kind of like a dog eat dog world. You're constantly fighting with everybody to get to like the top of whatever directory that you're kind of streaming at. And so if you're okay with being like in the middle, then it's like, it's like you're making like a decent amount of money. It's like, you make a good living for sure. But if you want to make, I mean, it's so money driven. It's like, well, next month I could make twice what I made this month. Right. And so you get those like really metric driven people who want to keep like making more, right?
Those love crumbs is what psychologists call them, like just keeps you wanting to fight for more, or like coming back for more, get that addiction. And I think that's why like, it's crazy.
I think it burns them out. And so I think a lot of these other platforms are more appealing because usually they'll offer like a deal with a set amount of money, and then like you don't have to worry about getting like subscribers nearly as much as you do on Twitch. Like subscribers are everything, right? And so if you build up more subscribers, whatever directory you jump into, they're going to kind of like follow you over there, and then you're going to like pop up towards the top of that directory and then get more viewers based on that, right? And so on Twitch, it's like really, really important for that, but I don't think it really is on YouTube. I don't think it is on Rip Mixer, but and then like I know a lot of like newer creators and like younger ones, or ones that are like coming up, like Facebook streaming, but I do not like watching on Facebook streaming. I tried it a little bit to follow a few creative people, and it's just a arguably like worse platform, and I can't believe Mixer sold to them.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Kick because YouTube here is not new streamer friendly. You know, the good thing about it is once you're done, your upload stays as a video, so you can change the title, add a thumbnail, and then you're getting your outreach. That's where you're gonna get your hits, right? But like all the times I've streamed, you know, not many followers or subscribers, or even, you know, we got a couple hundred, even though we had like 100, 150. No one would watch me because one, it doesn't get pushed out based on the game you're playing, right? It's just for essentially people like streaming and they've seen your channel before. But like with Twitch or Kick, you have whatever game you're playing in the front, right in the face. So someone will be like, hey, I want to watch Call of Duty, or I want to watch League of Legends or Smite or whatever, and they'll go through and be like, oh, I like the look of that dude's hat, Mr. Rowley, and then, or hey, you know, whatever. So I think that's what really interests me with Kick, just because, you know, I didn't want to do Twitch, because when we got into content creation, it was on the downhill. So everyone's like, just jump on YouTube now and get used to it kind of deal. But then I streamed on YouTube a little bit, and it's
not it's tough because like people just like don't go to the YouTube gaming page and look for streamers.
Right.
If you go to YouTube, you're just looking for like videos. And so if you want to watch COD stuff, you're watching the big creators make a video about it.
Yeah.
You're not like necessarily watching live streamers. And then the only time people are watching live streamers on YouTube is somebody they already follow who goes live. You're not like, it's not Twitch where you're searching the directory and you find somebody who's streaming. The discoverability is not nearly as much, not nearly there. Where basically Kick is like blatantly kind of ripping off Twitch. It's like identical for the most part. So really the discovery's there. It's a small pond, right? Twitch is huge, and so move over to Kick, and like you could get like viewed like a lot faster because there's not nearly as many other people streaming on the platform. Now there's not as many viewers either right now, but I think it's growing, and at least a lot of the things they've said have been very more content creator and streamer friendly, even though they might be their bank is the gambling bank, so their money is like kind of dirty or whatever. But
that's not dirty; it's a legal thing. You know,
it is legal. It is legal.
Not, you know, who cares? You know what I mean? It's legal.
I think, I guess it's like
I get what you're saying, but
Twitch is more for kids, so they're trying to like shelter these like non-kid activities away,
right?
Where Kick is like they're all for that. They're all about that. That's kind of like then part of like what you're kind of advertising, I guess, is that. But they pay the people who make content. So
now let me ask you this, because you streamed on it last. Oh, go ahead, Austin. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say TikTok as well. Like if you were to like also do a dual
stream simulcast,
dual stream, yeah. Have it up on TikTok and one on whatever, like Kick per se or YouTube, you're gonna get like a lot more views on TikTok as well because people are just scrolling, like, and they come across you, anything gaming related, and they'll be there. So that's interesting. But what were you gonna say, Cops?
Dan actually streamed on Kick last night, because he started talking about this. I had no idea. I'm glad I jumped in randomly because he was holding his cards to his chest, trying to get famous without me. But did you use OBS, or how did you go live? So did they do an update on OBS that it connects right to Kick?
You just do a custom server instead of like picking YouTube or picking Twitch, and then you put in, instead of like just a stream key, you put in like the server URL as well, but they give you that on Kick.
Nice.
So it's just as easy.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it this week for real.
And so the big thing that's got me real interested is their CEO said that he wants to pay all streamers just for the hours that they stream, regardless of like how many viewers they have. So he wants to pay people an hourly wage, for like $16 or whatever an hour.
Even if it was 50 cents, I'm gaming anyways. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of exactly was like my thought. I was like, well, like, yeah, it at least makes it way more interesting to stream to like 0 viewers, or 1 or 2 viewers, is like, as long as like you're getting some sort of kickback. And so they haven't implemented that yet, but he says that's like one of the things that like he would like to do. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, that got me pretty interested, like as a way to
it was like the stars aligned today for me, because talking with Heather, talking about that, I actually brought up Kick, and she's like, well, are you gonna do it? And I'm like, well, the audio in the other room, I can't really be like myself. I was like, I should get on stream and act like I act around my wife and kids, and I'd fucking make millions, because for me to like be that way, like I'm, obviously I'm myself around you guys, but like I'm really about myself, like, I'm really myself around my wife and kids, obviously, but we were joking. And I was like, I can't be myself in that other room because I'm gonna wake you guys up. You know what I mean? And she's like, and that's when we got talking, we come into the other room. So now she's like, if you're gaming, you should be streaming, Tyler. Like, that'd be awesome.
Heck yeah.
I tried to do that a little bit, but again, just trying to be quiet and have fun is just like not a thing. You just can't do it, man.
I don't know what that means.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's just really, because then it turns monotone. It turns boring. You know what I mean? So.
Oh man, I remember we were playing Destiny with my coworker Buttery, and he's like downstairs and his like wife is like a really light sleeper, and he's got his kid. Guys on the left, move into this position. Like just the softest whispers, and we're all like yelling, and we're getting into the game, and dude dies. He's like, you didn't say shit. And he goes, yeah, I did. I was just really quiet.
Hey man, that's how having kids goes sometimes.
Oh man, it was so funny. But yeah, like it sucks when you like like those are the times that you can game, and those are the times you have to be like really quiet, right? So
yeah,
we're lucky that like our kid, like we put a sound machine on and she can't hear anything that goes around outside of her room. So
that was another point of discussion for Heather too. She wanted this room set up so you can come over, because she's really worried with your new living arrangement that you might not be able to do like a late night podcast. She's like, damn, I'd have to come over like bi-weekly, or you're not bi-weekly, but every bi-monthly, and or no, bi-weekly. I'm right. Sorry, been drinking a little bit. She's like, damn, I'd have to come over every couple weeks and do an in-person, because he might not be able to be quiet enough for that kid in the next room.
I know. Yeah.
Rip.
That'll be interesting to see.
Just take a that man cave right there.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm all about it. Like, start streaming on our own, pimping out the True Nerds channel, keep True Nerds this way, tech stuff, podcast, whatever, and then just go game, because I don't think the people that really follow us on here are strictly people that would like to watch game. I mean, you don't know, maybe they are, but that's how YouTube works.
Right.
If they don't like it, they swipe away, and it kind of hurts out you and the algorithm and stuff. But, yeah.
We're definitely seems like a lot of our viewers are more like our tech focused stuff and our advice on tech. But shout out this week, I actually got an advice or some advice from a viewer, and it ended up helping me out. So on one of the videos that I made for the 5800X 3D, I talked about the only way that you can not really undervolted, but use the performance boost overdrives like performance like scaler, where it lowers the voltage at a given frequency, and so it'll like make the CPU run way cooler than it would before. The only way to do it before was running this like program that was shared through like a Google Drive, and some people thought it was like kind of sketchy. And you had to start it every time you started the computer. You'd have to like go into the program, change the numbers, click apply every single reboot. Where other computers you can just like do it in the BIOS. And so an update came out, and I think actually it was like a month, 6 weeks ago, and the BIOS like update came out. And he's like, yeah, actually this isn't correct. You can just like do it in the BIOS on ASUS motherboards. And I was like, no way.
You're full of shit.
Sure enough,
I
go internet. Look up, and yep, there's a new BIOS. I download it. Yep, there's the option. And so shout out to the viewer who put that out, because normally my ears pretty close to the ground. I hear all these like things coming out about tech, and so I was surprised that I did not hear about that one.
Did you respond to him and say you're the real G here?
I just did it recently. I liked and hearted his comment, and I'll have to go back and
I would, man,
comment and say like, "Yo, dude, thanks for the hookup."
Yeah, that's interesting that he was still somehow got pinned onto our video. You know what I mean? Because of I don't know. I just think about that sometimes.
I think he must have been scrolling through the shorts feed or something.
Right,
But,
bored.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool.
We just lost Austin.
He gone.
See ya. Anyways,
so yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I feel like we've been having a lot more user interaction the last couple of months.
Yeah, it feels really good. Like people talking in the comments saying, "Yo, this really helped out," especially the lowering voltage on AMD CPUs, the Ryzen CPUs. All the motherboards just pump out this way too high a voltage. So if you're using a Ryzen CPU, go check out one of the short videos that we have on the channel, or even look it up because
shameless
plug. But a lot of people have said it really dropped their temps like 1520 C at load and at idle because these motherboard manufacturers are pumping out too much voltage to just like as like a blanket statement to like make sure that CPUs aren't like blue screening or crashing. And so that to not like deal with like that problem and just pump out way too much voltage. And so that causes your CPU to like run way hotter than it like needs to. And so by just like doing a voltage offset to counteract their way too much voltage, you actually can drop your temperatures a ton. And then because your temperatures are drops, they'll boost higher. So you can get more performance out of your Ryzen CPU with like a quick fix.
Cooler CPU and more performance.
It's a win-win. And that your fans can be quieter. They don't have to sound like a jet engine all the time. It's great.
So I switching over to tech a little bit, I was able to pull out my desk and again to get my monitor arms set up really nice here. So I actually have my gaming setup like circling me, but I did get rid of the
space.
Yeah, I did get rid of the arm though, the boom arm. But I don't think I'm gonna need it now because I got my stand for my podcast. But then for gaming, I'm gonna use those Sennheisers. So I'm excited, dude. I think this is a good setup. I can watch some TV. Might be a little close for the 55, but that's okay. Did you have any other topics you want to talk about, man? I think Austin died.
Yeah, he might be gone. Internet cut out. One of those charger things. They like to do updates at what they consider late at night or whatever while everybody's gaming. But
yeah,
I guess after we were super hyped about Starfield last week or later in the week, they did a full interview with Todd Howard again, and he confirmed that Starfield is 30 FPS on console, Series S and Series X.
Yep.
Capped, no performance mode. And I guess like what are our thoughts on that?
It doesn't bug me. For console, it doesn't bug me because a game like that, the frame rates aren't going to be noticeable in my opinion. You're playing.
Oh, yes, they will.
No, they won't.
If I put 30 FPS and 60 FPS in front of you, you tell me you wouldn't be able to notice that.
Okay, but that's in front of you. Are you playing Zelda at 30 frames, wishing you were at 60?
Well, that's the whole thing. Is like game of the year contender favorite right now. I think is 30 FPS. And so it's like, well, maybe that's not as good of an argument as it used to be in the past.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessary, man. Would I wish it's better? I don't think for what this game is, I don't think the Series X or the PlayStation 5 could run it at 60 frames and get the amount of quality of the game you want. I'd rather have higher resolution and lower frame rates in a game like this. It's not like it's a first-person shooter with a lot of twitch reaction or a fighting game.
No, but I think that combat looked a lot faster than they had originally showed.
Yeah, but it's still like 360 era combat. Like we're talking Bethesda combat here, man.
It looked better though.
It did. It really did. It's not.
So so part of me is like Zelda feels great at 30 FPS. Destiny 1 did not, or even Destiny 2.
I thought you died. He's alive. He doesn't have his headset on. Right? Does he?
Maybe.
Whoa. Is this where we pretend we go?
Okay, we'll just keep talking then. Destiny 1 did not have, like, it felt terrible at 30 FPS. I hated it. And like, hello, we can hear you. It like, I wanted 60 so bad for Destiny. It was like, it was rough. And then like going back to Destiny, once they updated to 60 FPS, or actually once they launched it on PC, I would go play it on PC and it would be so silky smooth, a completely different game at 60 or above fidelity. It was like beautiful. And then I'd have to go back on Xbox because crossplay wasn't a thing yet and play with all my clan for raiding, and 30 FPS felt terrible.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. If you're going from 30 to, uncapped on a PC, yeah, it's going to suck. But for the normal console player.
But like 4K 60 was like the
lie that they sold to get a new generation of. It's a lie.
They sold 120 hertz this generation. They're supposed to be pushing twice that. Now I knew they weren't going to get 4K 120. Yeah. I knew that, or I'm not sorry. 4K 120. They're not going to hit that unless you're playing like Ori Will of the Wisps or something along those lines. Which was a great game, but like just like graphics wise different.
There's shit on it.
But in Starfield, you tell me that maybe not on the Series X, but you tell me on the Series X, they couldn't drop it down to 1080p 60 FPS?
I think it's the development. The development of the game, 60 frames creates too much more work.
That's fair.
Issues.
But that's where you get a lot of your efficiency bonuses, is when they figure out more efficient ways to do things for either lower hardware or trying to push to 60, that they can like then extrapolate into other areas and make them even more detailed in some cases. Not always the fact, but it can be very challenging. You're right. It's the most challenging part of development. It's a lot easier to just do, put as much into the game as you want and just run it at 30 FPS and not have to worry about creating efficiencies or developing for lower end hardware. But I mean, if you look at what Zelda Breath of the Wild or Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was able to do on 16 gigabytes on the Switch, I don't think it's unrealistic to think that the Series X couldn't have a performance mode at 1080p that was running at 60 FPS.
Yeah, but then you look at the timeline of this game being created. If it took them this long to do 30 frames,
that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your opinion on it? Because I'm all about 30 frames better game.
Well, I'm back. But so
what happened? Sorry, real quick. What happened?
My entire system just crashed. Like it literally, like I looked at my computer tower and it was just like.
Have you seen Dan's video on undervolting your CPU? So you don't. I'm just kidding.
I'm actually in need because of Starfield and in need of an upgrade that Kay is going to have to work to pay for. My lawyer wife.
What are you doing at home? You should be working.
What are you doing at home? But no, so I think they tabled that because exactly what Cobb said was about, they tabled it because they're like, okay, we need to make our investors proud. So we're going to release the game. 6 months later, we're going to come out with the 60 frames per second patch. We're going to still give you the nice draw distance that you're able to see everything in our worlds, these beautiful worlds. Will it be choppy on your 4K TVs? Probably. But you got a game, so I think that's what they're going to do.
Do you think it will be a patch, or do you think it'll be in about a year they're going to do a newer edition? The next generation, edition. Bethesda.
Knowing Bethesda. Yep, they're going to be like, Game of the Year edition. Runs now at 45 frames per second.
Oh my God. Okay, so it's going to be at 40.
So that's the comment that he says is like, in some parts of the game they can get it running at 60. There's enough like overhead, but then other parts like they were having challenges.
It's got to be like the worlds. Like it's got to be the worlds and how big that world is that you're on. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
But now if the Series X could hit 45, the thing with a lot of TVs now is if you have a nice gaming TV, you can put variable refresh rate on, and your TV will change its refresh rate based on whatever FPS it's getting. So even if it's below 60, there's no screen tearing. And so then it's kind of like playing 40 FPS on the Steam Deck versus, it's a great middle ground between 30 and 60. 40, 45 FPS in a game like this and in Cyberpunk, I feel is insanely good. The problem is a lot of TVs that don't have variable refresh rate, 45 FPS like does not work. It's either 30 or 60. Those are the only things you get. And so I would have liked at least like an uncapped mode that you could go in by default. And like they could even put like when you try and flip it on, they could even have a message say, hey, your gameplay may be choppy depending on the TV that you're playing on. We recommend having a TV with variable refresh rate.
That makes too much sense. They're not going to have that.
And then they don't even have to like do any extra development. They just let it run uncapped. What can the Xbox Series X do? I want it running full power and see like where it's hitting and issues like that. And then a lot of times the community mods the crap out of it and they fix it. And then you want to get some goodwill is you just pay them to input it into your game and then you don't have to do any work.
I bet you the modding community. I bet you the modding community will have a 60 frames launch before Bethesda. I guarantee they do. And I do want to say I'm not trying to like disagree with you at all. I wish as well. Actually, I don't really give a shit because I'm playing.
Because you're on PC.
But if they could have came out with 60 frames, but I feel like we all knew it was coming. Were you shocked when they're like 30 frames? No, I don't think you were.
No, because it's Bethesda and we were all already worried about it. But Redfall took such a beating in the news for only being 30 FPS. Now, Redfall doesn't look like Starfield.
The game looks like shit, and it's small. Like, yes, you can beat the shit out of that. I don't know.
Yeah, but so the game's going forward. If they don't look like Starfield, is 30 FPS going to get them like ridiculed?
Or did people ridicule Zelda for being 30 frames?
No, because
that's different hardware, though. Yeah, exactly.
But it does still look beautiful, and I really don't.
But because the system is built for it, that's why it looks beautiful. Because like that's all the system could really do. You know, like you didn't sell the entire world that you could do the thing, and then you have like I was disappointed with the 60 with less than 60. I was like, I heard 30, and I was like, damn, like we're going back a couple of years. But like,
well, you playing on console? You might be okay.
I mean, Kay will be playing on console.
Okay, get her on the pod. I'm just kidding. Get her on the podcast. What do you think, Kay?
I mean, I do agree that a lot of like gamers don't care about 30 or 60 FPS. They just like want to sit down and play a good game. And if you have no frame of reference, you generally don't know like that you're playing kind of like a subpar experience, I guess I would say, or it doesn't like look that bad to you. You're just sitting down and you're playing the game. You don't care.
If it has a good story and it has like a good, gameplay, I don't care.
That is fair. But I will just say that like Microsoft and Sony have been pushing 60 FPS and 120 FPS to the casual gamer, saying like, this is why we came out with this next generation to enable these things. And so like, I just like can't believe that the Switch is running like a 10-year-old architecture and they can do so much with Tears of the Kingdom, even CPU wise. And it's CPU in the Switch is the worst part of it. It is all GPU in the Switch. It's an NVIDIA made CPU. NVIDIA doesn't make CPUs, they make GPUs. Yeah. So it's terrible. And now we have the Xbox Series X and S with a Ryzen 3000 series CPU, and the last gen was running a Jaguar CPU, which was like over 10 years old and terrible even when it launched. And now we're running like really, really solid CPU performance. And you're saying you can't get to 60 is like, it's rough to like comprehend. This game better be just so complex and massive, but that really CPU is a beastly CPU.
That's really all that this generation has been is speed of transition.
Yeah. I think once they kill off the last generation games, like which technically like Starfield is going to be it. Like I feel like they couldn't put people off another 6 months to.
I mean, yeah, I guess when you come at it when you look at it from that development length standpoint, and they spent how many 8 years or whatever making this game, it's like, yeah, they probably don't need to spend another 6 months to a year or longer trying to just get it to run at 60. I agree with that. Like, if it's a really solid, rock solid 30 FPS and it's an amazing game, and you poured your heart and soul into making an amazing game for 8 years, everyone's gonna love it. It kind of like kills me being on the like hardware side of things, knowing that it like can't run at 60 FPS. Now, what I would like to do is build a PC with the like same specs as a Series X and see if we can get 60 FPS.
Challenge accepted.
We're probably, because like the bare minimum is literally my PC right now. Actually, I have like 32 gigabytes of RAM, but it was like a 2080 was like the recommended, and I was like, oh my lord, it is.
Well, the Series X is a 2080 equivalent horsepower console, so that's
Well, if you want to buy a 3070, I'm about to go switch over to AMD. Also. No, I think you'd wanna upgrade more than the 3070.
Yeah, looking for like future proof. Like...
Yeah. No, I get it, Dan. I'm not trying to just be argue to argue, but it wasn't a shock to me at all. No shock.
It was a little bit of a letdown because I was really hoping Phil Spencer was going to go in there after Redfall just getting beat up and be like, hey, we need to make this thing 60 FPS. How close are we?
Bro, that was a month ago. There's no way.
I understand. But like the game doesn't launch for another 6 months.
How are they?
But like,
what?
He probably did go in there and ask him like, hey, what would be the time frame to get it to 60 FPS? We're getting killed in Redfall. But at least they were man enough to come up and say it now and just have this conversation now, knowing that like when the game launches, everyone's going to know it's 30 FPS versus like week of, be like, yeah, it's 30 FPS.
Digital Foundry just shitting on
it. Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's going to allow the launch to have a much better like sentiment about it, is like get that like the ugly things out of the way early so that the launch can just be about the gameplay, and that's what people are focusing on.
Good PR move on them.
So let me ask you guys this. Do you enjoy all of these showcases versus just back in the day where it's like, here's the game, holy shit it's good, or holy shit it's bad? Because I'm like teetering on it. Like all these showcases, like the only reason I'm watching them is because of this channel. I will say that right now. I like going like Zelda. I went into Zelda not watching shit because I like the surprise, the exploration, being in shock and awe. What's your guys' opinion? Because
I devour YouTube, and so I'm always looking for something to like watch on my lunch break, watch at work, watch something to watch that my wife probably won't like before she gets home. And so I'm watching, like I sat down and watched the entire I watched the whole Xbox One, but I think I missed I was a day late to the Summer Games Fest showcase, and the next day I just for 4 or 5 hours I just watched the entire thing all the way through. Now I wasn't
actively watching it,
waiting and on the edge of my seat for every trailer to come up. It was kind of a little bit more in the background while I was doing other stuff. But I generally enjoy these things. I feel besides for Starfield and maybe a few Sony games, I don't think we're getting the jaw-dropping game release trailers that we used to when we were kids, where a lot of studios were pumping out amazing games. But I mean, game development was a lot shorter back then too. You could make a game in a year or two and it'd be really good. And now we're talking Starfield's 8 years long. So I think that's where a lot of these studios got caught. I think where Cyberpunk got caught was developing for that next generation, or that mixed generation that they were in, was a lot more work than they thought it was going to be. And 4 years wasn't nearly enough time. And if they would have had the 6 to 8 years that Starfield did, it would have launched in a much better state.
Agreed. Well, even look at Battlefield. I jumped into Battlefield yesterday because there was I forgot what season they're on, but everyone's like, it finally feels like Battlefield is at where it should have launched. And I feel like Battlefield was in the same situation, because it launched in 2021. That is like the time period where all these games either did really well or flopped, and they just weren't used to the hardware, and how long it actually takes. Because DICE always launch with some weird buggy shit.
Always.
If you played Battlefield, you know that. But the game was still so good that it was okay, and you kind of looked past it. But whatever the fuck this was, like, I don't know. It actually did feel like Battlefield yesterday. Austin, I saw you were playing it recently too.
Yep.
So, but anyways, what do you think about all these showcases, Austin?
So, like, going back in the day, like you were saying, I used to look really forward to E3. It used to be a dream of mine to go buy a plane ticket, go down to California from little old Wisco, and go watch all these amazing game titles that were going to come out in 1 to 2 years, I should say. Now, I don't devour YouTube like you guys or some of you guys do. I still look forward to it. I will still put it in my calendar on my phone when it's going to come up, when the announcement of when they're going to have like the Summer Game Fest. I look forward to the event because I do just have it. While I'm not always actively watching it, I will have it on in the background. I will pay attention to it. Specifically, like the Xbox showcase, Kay and I like both sat down. We're like, all right, we got our blankets on, we got our tea, we're tuned in, and like we're like, oh my god, this looks so good, like we're fanning out towards like everything that was being announced, and I still kind of like look forward to it like that. And it kind of sucks that a lot of these companies are considered just going away with it. While I don't blame them, it was still something to look forward to kind of break up the summer, because not a lot of video games or AAA games are coming out during this time period. So I feel like, because everything used to come out like in fall or winter for like Black Friday, that's where the hit was, right? So I think now that more AAA games are coming off of that cycle, but still around, like give or take 2 months.
Well, it feels like it's either the fall or it's the spring.
Spring now, right?
And still, people are like leaving the summer kind of open.
Exactly.
Look at August though. Anyways, we'll talk after that. No, continue. Sorry.
No, August looks really good too, but I think it was. I do kind of look forward to it, so it is kind of a little special towards me, and it kind of like when I heard E3 was going away, I was like, damn.
Yeah, I always wanted to go too. I mean, there's still some, I'd say, more video game collection things we could go to. Like that's one of my things. I want to go to one of those and like actually make a video on this channel. I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, E3 going away was kind of weird. I've always wanted to go, but from the publisher standpoint, makes no financial sense whatsoever. Now that we have the internet, like we do now, it was just a matter of time. COVID really set that in full force. So because the first one got canceled, they're like, wait, we have a YouTube channel that actually made money putting this event on versus losing money. It's just, but
I actually did it smart, like the Summer Game Fest this year, because like of COVID, they had to adapt, and by putting it on both, like having an in-person event, selling tickets, to that wherever they were having it at, while also live streaming it, they still were able to generate some sort of revenue. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, because they probably had a couple hundred people at that. It wasn't super big. I don't think it was thousands of people, but it was, an auditorium filled, and then you got YouTube ad revenue, and I'm sure there's a shit ton of people on there watching, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of have a bittersweet, like, I miss opening up a game and just being completely oblivious to what I'm about to walk into. So, but that's my own fault. I could censor myself and not go on YouTube. And
you also like it's a little bit like different now because like before you could do that because you could pretty much like assume the game was going to be finished when you pop that game in your console, and now you have to look at like reviews and make sure that the game's not buggy, or make sure it works, make sure it like runs well. Otherwise you're spending $60 or $70 in some cases, and it's a terrible game.
Mm-hmm.
What I usually do is like I'll watch like at the Summer Game Fest or something like that. I see a game I like, add it to my wish list, and like don't watch anything because I don't go on YouTube that much, unless it's to watch like a couple of things like here and there. Or if I see like a video game announcement, I'll go watch that. But I usually only watch the announcement and maybe one more like initial gameplay thing after that. And then after that, I won't touch it until release. Like I won't go looking for it. I won't do anything because like I used to build up so much expectations for me. So that's what I'll do now. And then as soon as like the release day or the window drops, like I also gauge it too, is if they drop the review window before the game release, because then it's a complete game before like the embargo drops, right?
Yep.
So I was like, okay, when Hogwarts Legacy dropped the embargo like a week ahead of time, I was like, let's go.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm all in on this game. Yeah, there's nothing to hide. But then like Redfall, I was like, there's nothing, and it's already like starting to creep out of the woodwork. Like this is a terrible
They're
game.
hiding everything.
Mm-hmm. And for it to happen like that, it kind of sucks. But then even if they do come out, let's say a game is decent and they didn't drop the embargo before the game release, I'll just look at the number at Metacritic, and if I see it, I'm like, all right, I don't read anything past that. I don't dig too deep into it, and we'll go off that. Anything below a 7 I'm not touching.
Well, there's too many games out there to even want to, honestly, unless it's like a cult, like a cult following type deal, or something niche or whatever. But, I used to, I just thought about this when you were saying that. I used to get so freaking hyped, man. Like, I remember when Far Cry 4 was announced. Far Cry 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. And Far Cry 4 got announced, and dude, I didn't even question it. I pre-purchased it right when it was announced digitally, and I was ready to go, man, like day of. But then I wasn't a fan of it, but it is what it is. Like, you just kind of accepted that L. Now it's like, dude, if you don't do your research, you can lose thousands of dollars a year. You know what I mean? Like, granted, there's a lot of return policies on Steam and stuff. But I mean, most games, you're going to spend more than 2 hours playing to realize if it's a good game or not. But yeah, you got to be cautiously optimistic, not get yourself hyped up, and do some research. And if you don't do that research, you're going to get screwed. Like, me with The Last of Us. I got screwed.
Still holding on.
What?
I'm still holding on.
I just saw another. Sorry, I just saw another update. On my PC yesterday. Another update queue. But like, I bought it on a different platform and no return because I downloaded the code. But yeah. Anything else, Austin? Do you got any topics you want to talk about? This has been pretty free flow.
I really don't. Right now. Next week or this coming week on the 22nd of June, a game that I've been looking forward to the past 2 years is finally coming out, and it's getting some really good criticism from people who have had hands-on, who have been lucky enough to. They pushed it back 6 months or 4 months from when it was supposed to release this past winter. And it's finally coming out. It's called 6 Days in Fallujah. It takes place with the American invasion of Iraq and into Fallujah, but every single time you go in with your squad is a completely different generated map. It is all RGN based, RNG. There we go. Yep, and that has me really excited. It's very close quarters combat. Clearing and entering a room.
Very tactical, right?
Very tactical. Have to be constantly communicating. Have to also have the NPCs on the outside be doing stuff. You can't just like go in and kick down a door and go shoot up a place. You have to like work with your team, communicate, cover corners. And I'm really looking forward to see like how it manifests, like, or how they're gonna do all this, because it seems like a pretty like next generational type of game. So that's the game I'm looking forward to.
I didn't realize it was coming out until you texted me that yesterday, because my old coworker, Jordan, actually was showing me the trailer. Dude, the shit look like, you just said next generation. This looks awesome. And I know this isn't in Dan's wheelhouse. I don't think you'd like this game, but it's 5-person co-op, right, Austin?
Yeah, something like 4 or 5.
Yeah, so you can run you can run your team into room clearing. It was wild to me.
That's
so
cool.
You got Billy fucking Leroy Jenkins, he's getting you all killed and shit. Like it's actually gonna take teamwork. So, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna look at some reviews, just like we were talking about, because it is coming out early access, right?
Yeah, early access, that's what it's going to be dropping at, like kind of expected. I'm glad that they're putting that tag on there, because like what our conversation last week, like it's better to have the advisory up there because you kind of know what you're getting into, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but at least they're getting it out to get some funds to help work out the kinks. So
yeah, I like giving, like, I bought Baldur's Gate 3 the day it launched, early access, just to give money to Larian. I knew I wasn't going to play it. I've only played an hour. I just wanted to kind of feel the game. But I like giving money to a developer I trust, and then I'll play it on launch.
That's exactly what I did with Hell Let Loose.
Oh, that's awesome.
When I first bought my PC, I had like $150. I was like, I'm buying this game. I played one game, and I was like, this needs a lot of time, but I believe in them.
Yep.
So I'm going to buy every DLC and not touch the game for 2 years. I didn't plan on not touching it for 2 years, but I was like, I'm going to give it some time, and I did. And yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but then reverted.
But yeah, Baldur's Gate's finally coming out. So that game got announced when I used to work with Austin, Dan. So it was 3 years ago.
I know.
And
I remember that. There's
Is that when it like went into early access, or when did 3 years ago?
3 years ago. That's where I was talking last week. I'm like, man, it's a grind sometimes with early access, because it's like they've had 3 chapters. They've been adding stuff to the game, but it's like, dude, anyways. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna play that game with you if you'll invite me, good sir.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't think I kind of went into this. I went into this blind today, but that's okay. There's a bunch of homies talking about video games. Dan, do you got anything else?
Just trying to stay awake over here.
Yeah, I can tell. Wake up. Give the people what they want then.
Stay nerdy.